Welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live on every social media and podcasting platform possible. This show is archived wherever you get your social media and podcasting content as well, so you, the viewer and listener, can enjoy the Jerry and Jerry Show at your leisure. A lot we're going to cover on today's program. A special edition of the show. Generally, it airs on Tuesdays at 10:15 a.m. Today is Wednesday. My Tuesday morning yesterday slammed busy, and fortunately we have a fantastic Virginia Sports Hall of Famer who is able to do the show today. A lot on today's docket, ladies and gentlemen, including the University of Virginia shocking the world with a victory against the Florida State Seminoles, one of the most significant wins in Virginia football history, period. A victory that has Tony Elliott earning National Coach of the Week recognition, has Chandler Morris, the quarterback, on short list at a national level, and has some pundits asking this question: if Virginia beats Louisville on Saturday on the road at Louisville, if they get this win, can Virginia rattle off the rest of its schedule unblemished, which would undoubtedly lock its place in an ACC championship contest and a berth or an opportunity potentially into the college football playoffs? I know a lot of cards have to fall the right way for that to materialize. Still, it's a fantastic talking point for a talk show, and it's crazier things have happened, guys. Crazier things have happened. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera. Let's welcome the star of our program, Jerry Ratcliffe, the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, the namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com. Goodness gracious, what a game to cover, Hootie.
It was fantastic, and the whole week leading up to that game, just there was something in the air. It reminded me a lot of 1995 and 2005. You could just feel like that there was a very good chance for the potential upset, and the fans bought in. The players obviously bought in. The atmosphere was electric. Kudos to Florida State, who travels as good as anybody. I think they had tons of fans there, and it was a magical night. It was in my 40-plus years of covering Virginia football, it probably has to be in the top 5-6 games that I can recall.
That was the first question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
No one's covered this program closer than you. Where does it stack up in Virginia football memories for you?
Yeah, well, the other two would be the other two upsets over Florida State and beating Clemson for the first time. A couple of wins against Virginia Tech over those years, and a couple of wins over North Carolina, which I guess it was 96 when they upset North Carolina. They were 6th in the country and headed to the Fiesta Bowl, and Virginia upset them. And in terms of games in Charlottesville, that has to rank right up there with all those games.
Virginia football in the top 25, Hootie, for the first time since 2019. Goodness gracious. This victory has offered this is your phrase. It's one of my favorite phrases, turns of the phrases that you've ever put in print or said onto a microphone. Tony Elliott, from the outhouse to the penthouse.
Yeah, no question.
National Coach of the Week on a couple of individual platforms and outlets. It's offered Teflon and bulletproof vest protection, at least for now, for the embattled athletic director, Carla Williams. It's got Chandler Morris on national accoladed short lists. And goodness gracious, it's got us going to ask this question. Got us talking about, if Virginia beats Louisville, can they rattle off the rest of the schedule unblemished and finish with a one-win-loss campaign, or a one-loss campaign?
Yeah, well, ESPN's projections are that Virginia has a 54% chance of finishing in the top 2 in the ACC, along with Miami. Second highest percentage other than Miami to make it to the championship game. And part of that is the schedule that we talked about a lot in the preseason, one of the lightest schedules in the country. But before you put the cart before the horse. They've got a hell of a game coming up this weekend.
Big time.
And they're underdogs, so that everything that they gained last Friday night didn't mean much to the odds makers out in Vegas or to the Louisville Cardinals, who are extremely difficult to beat at home. They've won 13 of their last 16 home games over the past 3 seasons. They're a lot like Virginia in terms of personnel. Good, solid coach, great fan base. It's going to be a major undertaking to go into Louisville and walk out of there with a win. It's a lot easier said than done.
The line open at 7.5. Louisville 7.5 point favorite. The line down is down to 6.5. You get 3 points for playing at home. Vegas suggests this is a field goal game here.
Yeah.
Super tight contest here.
If it's a field goal game, I just saw that they have a kicker that's booted 2 57-yard field goals in the last couple of games, including, I think, last Saturday when they were down 17 points to Pitt and came back and won in the fourth quarter with 2 touchdowns and forced 6 Pitt turnovers in the process. So, yeah, if it comes down to a field goal, wow, that's scary knowing that a guy can kick at 57 yards.
Well, and Louisville. Let's talk about this is Dave. Now, I don't want to call this David and Goliath, but Virginia is certainly going into a lion's den of sorts here. They have a very difficult time winning at Louisville. The history suggests it. Louisville's got one of the best fan bases in college football, certainly the ACC. This is, in a lot of ways, their pro sports team because they don't have pro sports.
Right.
They got a lot of talent on this roster, Louisville does. The odds makers have them as a 6.5 point favorite, although I've highlighted the line has moved. This is, I don't want to say as tough of a matchup as Florida State, but this is a pretty damn tough matchup because you're on the road here.
It is, and it's a place where Virginia doesn't have a very good history. They've lost. They've only won one time in Louisville. Virginia has had Louisville on the ropes the last 2 years and let them off the hook. And I think some of the Virginia players who were on those teams probably recognize that they've been capable. They just haven't pulled it off. They've sometimes beaten themselves with bad decisions. They had a punt blocked last year that ended up giving Louisville maybe the deciding points. And it's just, you're right. I mean, University of Louisville's sports teams are their pro teams out there. Louisville's a pretty good-sized city, and they have a huge fan base for football and basketball and baseball, for that matter. But they it's a tough place to win, and while Virginia was late to the party with the NIL, Louisville's exploited that for 3 years in a row now, with particularly in the transfer portal. They've had a huge turnover for 3 years.
I mean, look what their basketball team did.
Yeah, exactly.
From the bottom of the ACC standings to one of the best in a year's time.
Right. Which, that's what Virginia's hoping to duplicate in basketball this season. So these people take it seriously. So you're not just going to go in there and have a cakewalk, that's for sure.
Chad Wood watching the program, one of the finest tailbacks to ever matriculate out of Western Albemarle High School. He's a Crozet crazy. Chad, I appreciate the comments your wife posted on social media as it applies to the craziness and chaos in the Albemarle County School Board. That's a topic for a different show, but I want to offer props to your family for that. Chad Wood says it's very possible if Virginia beats Louisville that they could rattle off the rest of the schedule. He highlights that Duke is not easy and Tech is Tech, and we know the history with Virginia Tech. However, if we beat Louisville, he's saying UVA, this team definitely controls its own destiny. He's 100% right. He's 100% right. We got viewers and listeners that are watching in Charlottesville, in Crozet, in Richmond, Northern Virginia, Southwestern Virginia, Hampton Roads, in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee that I see on our heat map right now William McChesney, welcome to the broadcast. Tina Wyatt Breeden, welcome to the broadcast. We'll talk the Louisville matchup. First, let's celebrate Florida State. Let's X and O's Florida State. Let's figure out what the blueprint is for Florida State against Florida State and see if it can be replicated. I guess the Florida State matchup, let's go Chandler Morris first. 3 picks, 2 of them clearly his fault. One of them, he's trying to make a play at a time he needed to make a play. We understand the 3 interceptions. Regardless, Chandler Morris looked like the best player on the field throughout much of that contest and was not just wearing a quarterback's helmet. He looked like he had a red cape on his shoulders at times.
Oh, no question. He was terrific, and had a part in 5 touchdowns, including rushing for 3 and the winning touchdown in double overtime with he made a really good read on that play and made it to the end zone. He had no fear, ran with no abandon for his body, and he put it all on the line. And you got to give him kudos. He's an incredibly confident guy. He said, yeah, I know I own those 3 interceptions. I think one of them he knew there was a chance he was trying to make a play in regulation to try to get him in position to maybe kick a winning field goal. But he termed himself as a gunslinger, and a gunslinger is going to make some mistakes every now and then. But his mistakes are few and far between, and he certainly makes up for it with the rest of his game and his leadership. And I think you could see him throughout the game going over and firing up his offensive line.
Yep.
And other people. And
Yep.
I mean, that's what you want your quarterback to be. He's everything you want your quarterback to be.
Chandler Morris, 26 of 35 passing, 229 through the air, 6.5 per toss, per throw, 2 touchdowns. Yes, the 3 picks. 3 touchdowns on the ground for Chandler Morris. The game-winning touchdown throws it to a spot. The running back isn't even looking for the football at the point. Throws it to a spot. It was one of the most beautiful throws, and I understand it wasn't a deep bomb. But what he did there, throwing to the spot in that scenario, was one of the most beautiful throws I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and to Xavier Brown on a wheel route,
right.
It was matched up against a linebacker, and Morris was confident when he saw that matchup that it was going to be a touchdown. And Brown said all I had to do was catch it.
Yeah, he put it in his hands.
It was perfect.
It was perfect.
And to Chandler Morris's credit, if you go back to the NC State game, that's the same play to the other side of the field that was intercepted to end the game, the one that he should have thrown away. But that just shows the confidence he has in going back to the same thing and making it work the next time.
Comments coming in quickly here. Chad Wood says conversation went from Tony Elliott, does he keep his job with 5 wins, to does UVA run the table? This is why we love college football. He also adds, and missing starters on the offensive line, I might have to eat some crow soon on my take on Des Kitchings and Tony Elliott. A lot of people eating crow, Chad Wood, not just you. A lot of people eating crow. Tony Elliott, your words, from outhouse to penthouse. Tony Elliott goes from close to being hung in effigy to short National Coach of the Week on a couple of outlets and platforms.
Yeah.
Tony Elliott goes from the least amount of wins in power football in his first 3 years on the job in Charlottesville to, does this guy have a chance to be the ACC Coach of the Year and contend for an ACC championship?
Oh, without question.
Unbelievable.
I think a lot of people are going to be eating crow. And perhaps we've judged all these people too harshly because with the NIL infusion.
I don't know if we judged him too harshly.
Well, maybe not. But
he had a terrible first 3 years.
It just goes to show what you can do when you have talent.
Okay. I'll give you that. And who is it? John Schumann used to say this all the time. Fletcher Arrett used to say this all the time. Was it about Jimmys and Joes? And if my Jimmys and Joes are better than your Jimmys and Joes, we're probably going to get a victory.
Well, my favorite quote of all time about that came from Bear Bryant, who once said, when he was talking about recruiting, I worked one of his football camps when I was wanting to be a coach, and as just a counselor. And I remember he had us all in a room one night, and he said, "Let me tell you about recruiting." And he was talking about the importance of recruiting. And this was a long time ago, so it's not as much emphasis on it back then as there is today, but there was in his mind. And he said, "Let me give you this one question about recruiting." He said, "Boys, have you ever seen a jackass win the Kentucky Derby?" It's thoroughbreds. And Virginia finally has a stock of thoroughbreds. And that just goes to show what you can do when you have talent. And it was interesting, talking to some of the guys over at UVA this summer before the season started, and their general manager, special scouting, and all that stuff, roles that they have over there, about the huge gift that came in overnight out of the blue and changed everything. And they were in their recruiting war room. I've been in there with Al Groves. Nobody's supposed to ever go in there that's not in the program, but he took me in there one time, and it has
Studio camera, Judah.
has these big boards,
Yeah.
with all the recruiting possibilities, who they're looking for, in pecking order, all this massive amount of information. They came in and said, "Erase all that. We're starting all over. And we're not going after those people anymore. We're going after these people." And that just goes to show the difference in that has made in this football program. There's talent everywhere.
Bob Sefik watching the program, he says New Jersey is in the house too. There's 8 states right now watching the Jerry and Jerry show. Folks from 8 different states are watching us right now. Tony Elliott, I don't think we were too hard on him because those first 3 years, the least amount of victories.
Yeah.
The point that you made,
And there were some mistakes.
and a
made.
tremendous amount of mistakes.
Yeah.
Many mistakes. There was even grace offered and empathy offered with the mass shooting and the triple murder.
True.
There was grace and empathy offered by the fan base. What he's done now, though, is just this completely revamped roster fueled by money and fueled by fundraising contributions. And the question is this: how does he potentially scale this into powerhouse? Can the switch be flipped that quickly, I guess, is the question.
Well, we saw it flipped last year in college football with Indiana and a scattering of a few other teams, and we saw it in basketball, like you pointed out, with Louisville and some other people. So the switch can be flipped quickly, but you still have to know what to do with the talent and be able to take advantage of it. And I guess the big question is, and we don't know the parameters because we don't know what's going to happen with college football. We don't know if NIL and rules and transfer rules are going to change or not.
There's going to be a cap.
Something's going to happen,
Yeah.
but we don't know what, and we don't know when. And so the process is to do it again. And it seems like the money is there if that continues to be the trend. If it goes back to the old ways and you have to go back to doing things the way they did before, all the huge money became so preeminent, it's a question of whether you can compete if it's not about money. And so that's going to be the big question mark going forward.
James Madison watches the program quite often now. James, we love when you comment on the show. He has this comment: as a fan of 46 years, I think this may be the best running back room we have ever had. Every one of them ran incredibly hard against Florida State. Could you guys comment on that, please? Couple things I'll add. He's the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. First, I'll offer the perspective from the box score against Florida State. 27 carries, 99 yards, 1 touchdown, 3.7 a carry for Jamari Taylor, who looks like the alpha dog in the backfield, the most talented all-around running back. Xavier Brown, goodness gracious, when he comes in, his explosive ability, his quickness, especially with getting to the perimeter and on the sidelines, is showcased even more because he's coming in when the defensive fronts are a little tired from getting beat up a little bit by Taylor between in the trenches,
right,
in the tackle box.
Right.
So it makes Brown look better. Then you get Harrison Whaley coming in. Harrison Whaley only got 4 carries for 15 yards, but this guy I think he's the leading rusher from a yard standpoint that's active in college football right now, Harrison Whaley. And then Chandler Morris. Now, I'm not going to go as far as James Madison has said that this is the best backfield ever, because we've seen some Pearmans, some Joneses, some Womacks, some Lundys, some even Michael Johnson from Heritage, the 5-star, who didn't live up to his expectation, but still a great guy to come off the bench. We've had some talented backfields before. This one's pretty damn deep, though.
No question. And you forgot Noah Vaughn, who's back this week, who, in Tony Elliott's view, is the best all-around back on the team because of all the things he can do. So certainly it's an incredible backfield. And to have 4 backs like that and to be able to use all 4 of them is a dynamic that most teams will never enjoy, that kind of a collection of that kind of talent. I would hesitate to say that it's the best backfield or best running back room ever because at one time you had Tiki Barber and Terry Kirby and Thomas Jones. I don't know if they were all in the same room at the same time, but they certainly
they missed each other. Kirby missed them.
I know Kirby and Tiki were on the same.
Oh, they were the same?
I think so.
Okay.
And Kirby, I guess Kirby and Jones maybe.
I thought they missed each other. Maybe you know this better than
Yeah.
I thought they missed each other by a year, but you know this better than I do.
Well, I know a couple of them played together. And then, Barry Word and Howard Petty, and they had a couple other guys, Marcus Washington, Womack, Pearman, Lundy, as you mentioned. There's been some spectacular running back rooms there over the decades, but this, and I don't know, these guys are really great collectively. I don't know that any of them will amass the numbers or the professional career that some of these other guys went on to have.
Maybe Taylor's a pro tailback. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And perhaps others. Depends on what happens. But collectively, they have been awesome.
They complement each other so well.
Yeah. I mean, and the numbers they're putting up as a rushing offense are at this point unparalleled in Virginia football history, I think. So it's certainly a great problem to have, and who you want to give the ball to, because any of them can take it to the house, it seems like, at any given point.
211 rushing yards against Florida State.
They've rushed for over 200 yards for 4 straight games, which we haven't seen that in a long time.
Virginia had 440 total yards against the team in Florida State that was annihilating competition, that throttled Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just an incredible performance. And what's the blueprint? Let's talk offense. To scale the blueprint against Louisville, it's clearly established the run. Establish the run, which opens up play action for Morris. Establish the run, which allows Morris to do things out of the pocket with his legs. I got to give Morris even more props. Like, I knew Morris was going to be super heady. He's a coach's son. He had statistical production throwing the football. I didn't realize Morris was as quick and as athletic as he was.
Yeah. It's
I said more so than Calandria.
It's deceptive. Yeah.
Deceptive.
Yeah. No question about it. And I mean his passing numbers are making some noise in the NCAA statistics as well, but he's the key. I mean he's just so smart, and like you said, a lot of that goes back to being a coach's son, and but he has talent. I mean he has a lot of talent, and
I mean, Chandler Morris, if Chandler Morris is 4 inches taller, 5 inches taller, we're probably looking at a first-round draft pick.
Yeah. I don't think there's any question about that. His size may be held against him, but, there's some guys that
Drew Brees.
His size, who have made it in the NFL. But he's so heady, and he makes such good decisions the majority of the time. A lot of those, I think, runs for touchdowns were reads.
100%.
And some people aren't capable of that. And he finds his receivers. He's always one of the good signs of a good quarterback is when things break down and they have to go off script. He keeps his eyes downfield, and a lot of guys are not capable of that. They get happy feet and they just want to run for the sidelines, but he keeps his eyes downfield, and he has a good knack for finding open receivers and making a play. And that's something I don't think you can coach, maybe to a degree, but a lot of that just is natural ability and focus.
Yeah. I mean, what's the blueprint here against Louisville? What can you scale from Florida State and blueprint for the rest of the season?
Well, I think Virginia believes that they can win a shootout with just about anybody, and I thought the defense made a couple of steps forward this past weekend against the nation's number one offense. Because you knew Florida State was going to make some plays, and they had some dynamic personnel as well. Again, I don't think Castellanos is an elite quarterback. I think he's talented and really good, but I think there was a lot of hype around him that I'm not convinced. But that big wide receiver they had, I don't know why they didn't throw to him more often, because he's a playmaker.
He's a grizzly bear.
He is a grizzly bear.
I mean, he was an effing specimen.
Yes.
Like, he is a tight end body, but wide receiver speed and quickness.
And you know why Lincoln Riley wanted him really bad.
Yes, this dude is 6'6", 225, people.
And he can run.
And he could
catch.
run. That guy's a pro wide receiver.
Yeah, well,
they couldn't
we'll
stop
see him for a long time in the NFL. So I thought Virginia's defense did great, and Tony Elliott said something yesterday that I think was overlooked by a lot of people, is that those two fourth down stops they made turned out to be huge. He thought it was the difference in the game, because that was two more times that Florida State could have had the ball and have scored. So. They've started to get better on that side of the ball, and that's bad news for everybody else, because the offense, I think, it's just going to keep clicking, and I don't see them changing a whole lot in their approach to Louisville. I think they're just going to keep trying to do what they've done. It's been a winning formula so far. Louisville's got a lot of talent. I mean, they've got an offense that's really good. They got a quarterback, a transfer from Southern Cal, who's putting up some numbers, can make all the throws. They've got maybe, arguably, the best 1-2 running back punch in the country with that kid last year, Isaac Brown. He just ran through Virginia like butter.
100%.
And I remember riding in the media shuttle back to the parking lot after the game, and along with some of the Louisville athletic administration people, and they were saying, we're going to have to really amp up our NIL money to keep him because he was just a freshman. Because people are going to be coming after him hard because he's that good.
Looks like they did.
Yeah, and then I'm sure that he's well compensated.
Yeah.
But they have two really good running backs. They have good receivers. They have a restocked offensive line, much like Virginia's. Although, if you look at, we got to give some props to Terry Heffernan, the Virginia's offensive line coach. They brought in all these offensive linemen from the portal, but the majority of the guys playing were here last year.
Right.
And that just shows how he developed those guys and how those guys matured.
The offensive line is banged up. We should talk about that here. Comments coming in quickly. Rob Gray from Richmond. He's not ready to put the cart, he says, before the horse here. He says if Tony Elliott loses to Virginia Tech, then all this good goes away. I'll push back slightly. There's no win I would rather have than a Virginia Tech victory. That Florida State win was extremely close second for me. That's how much I despise Virginia Tech, okay? That I would rather take a win over a lowly Hokie team than a top 10 victory against Florida State. Okay, but it's close second. I understand his point that he still has a lot left to prove with the season. I get that. Jeremy Wilson's watching in Eastern Tennessee. He says, Virginia's out-recruiting Virginia Tech right now, which is huge. If Tony Elliott and this program can control the Commonwealth like they once did under George Welsh, that would be significant for this program.
Well, it's going to be hard for anybody to control recruiting in the state because recruiting has changed over the years, and there's so many people who come in from outside the state and take people. Schools recruit more nationally and outside their 4-hour drive zone, so to speak, than they used to. But it is significant, and they do need to try to keep some of the better players from the state at home, which Virginia and Virginia Tech have not done a very good job of the last few years. Like the kid from Louisville who's going to Michigan, and they've lost a great running back to Ohio State a few years ago. There's always people trying to raid your pantry, so to speak. But Virginia is out recruiting Virginia Tech in the state right now. He's exactly right about that. And they need to take advantage of that and see if they can strengthen those ties with the high school coaches around the state. They've given kids a reason to stay home if they can continue on this course. If you're floundering around, as Tech and UVA have done for the past several years, they haven't given people a reason to stay. But Virginia's given them a lot of reasons with that new football building. It shows a commitment to football, and it's starting to pay some dividends.
Bill McChesney says Virginia Tech has appeared weaker this year, yes, but that doesn't mean the situation cannot be turned around for the Hokies. He's correct. Chad Wood adds, Virginia Tech just approved a new budget for the athletic department.
Right.
Whit Babcock, the athletic director of Virginia Tech, went hat in hand to his board of visitors and said, if we don't get more money in the coffers for the athletic department, this is just not a yearly impact. This is a multi-generational impact on the athletic department. And he just got a hell of a lot more money for the athletic department with that hat-in-hand ploy with the Board of Visitors. They fire Brent Pry. They're 2-0. One of those wins against Wofford. The other win against NC State, the win in Raleigh for Virginia Tech against NC State, takes a little luster away from UVA's loss to NC State and Raleigh. That raised an eyebrow for me because you think on paper, at least what you've seen through the first 25% of the season, that the Hokies are substantially subpar compared to UVA, but they win in Raleigh and UVA loses in Raleigh. They could have won that game, the Hoos.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on at all what you've seen in Virginia Tech?
Yeah, I think the fact that they listened to the pleas of the athletic department it was major, because they had fallen behind like Virginia fell behind, and money is the cure. And
unfortunately,
Al Groh, when the ACC expanded with Miami and Tech and some of those teams from the Big East years ago, he went to his administration and said, we've fallen way behind, and if we don't make some steps here, we're one misstep away from Duke, and Duke at that time was hapless. And John Oliver told me years later, he said, we should have listened to Al, and we didn't, and we're paying for it. And they did become Duke, essentially. And so, they pumped $225 million into their athletic program for the next 3 years, I believe. Part of that is through student fees, which a lot of people aren't crazy about. But Virginia just showed what you can do when you infuse your football program with money. In the Hardy Football Center, the nutrition and all that stuff that goes along with it, acquisition of talent, investing in scouting and those kind of resources, it makes a difference. We're kind of in a pro football mode, and if you want to be good, you've got to spend the cash to upgrade every facet of your football program.
Stephanie Wells Rhodes, watching in Keswick, she says, we played to win. It was a magical night in Whoville. Absolutely, Stephanie. Mark Scott, watching the program. Mark Scott says, now we need to whip North Carolina. He highlights that as maybe the roadblock on the schedule after Louisville. I'm with him there. At North Carolina and Chapel Hill, never easy.
I think it's going to depend on what Carolina does between now and then, because they have to play Clemson this week. And the loser of that game is in dire straits.
If Clemson loses that game, maybe Dabo Swinney gets fired.
That's a tough call after what he's done.
Multiple
there.
national championships.
But, Carolina's had some players leave the program, as has Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech's got players starting at major college football pro. Virginia Tech's best defensive back from last year is a key contributor on LSU's secondary right now. And he's maybe the best defensive back on LSU's football team.
Yeah. Was it Stephanie that said we play to win?
That was Stephanie, yeah.
Yeah. One point I'll interject there is something that resonated with me that Tony Elliott said yesterday, was that he knew things were different when they walked out of the tunnel Friday night, because he said he's been in that situation many times before, and he said he's seen teams wilt because they've lost to the logo. And he said when we came out of the tunnel, we were focused and looked straight ahead, and there was a different look in their eyes. And so they were not intimidated by Florida State, and that's a big part of it. And so good point that she made.
100%, Stephanie. And I think a lot of that is the moxie of Chandler Morris.
I agree. And a lot
He's
of these
unafraid of the moment.
And a lot of these veteran players.
Yeah.
Because, we also said, how's Virginia going to handle success? And he said leadership. And he said, we've got guys in here that have played for Alabama, Notre Dame,
Ohio State. Yeah.
And they've been there,
Yep.
and they know how to handle it, and we're leaning on their leadership to guide us through this. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Upside significant, folks. Keys to the game for you with Louisville.
I think they just got to go in and play Virginia football, power football, and try to control the line of scrimmage and run the football and keep Chandler Morris clean. I think Louisville is going to come after him hard and try to test him like he hasn't been tested this year in terms of the physical part of it. I think they're going to get after him with everything they've got, and I think they're going to have to protect him and give him time to find receivers. And a lot of that's going to go to the running game and whether they can control the line of scrimmage. And defensively, against a running attack like Louisville has, they can't get shredded in the A-gaps like they were last year and give up big chunks of yardage to their running backs and make their quarterback beat them with his arm. And then if it comes down to special teams, they just can't make mistakes. Last year, that blocked punt killed them.
Yep. No missed kicks with Bettridge.
And that's important to have Daniel Sparks back this week. They weren't confident to say that he was definitely going to be back, but it's going to be important to have him healthy. And because Louisville has a dynamic punt return guy, I think he's number one in the nation. So you want to try to make him be uncomfortable and not give him just clear paths or easy catches to make big returns with.
The mayor of McIntyre, William McChesney, says, look at what Anthony Calandria is doing. And I'm looking at Calandria now.
He's having a terrific year.
Banner year.
Yeah.
UNLV is 4-0, unblemished. Calandria is the clear-cut starter. He's completing 72% plus of his passes, 8 yards per pass. He's got 8 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. His quarterback rating is off the charts, 164.2. Calandria has also carried the ball. The guy has the most carries on the football team, Calandria, 46 versus 45, the starting running back. Calandria has 229 rushing yards, 5 yards a carry, and another touchdown on the ground. He's having a banner year, and I could not be happier for Anthony Calandria.
Yeah, me too, but I'll take Chandler Morris.
I'll take Chandler Morris any day as well. I'm with you 100% on that. Around the ACC, you talked about this Clemson-UNC matchup. This is crazy. The Clemson Tigers are at the bottom of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
I mean, when did you ever think those words would come out of your mouth?
Especially with where they were preseason picked.
A lot of people had them winning the national championship.
Winning the national championship at a down ACC, steamrolling the conference, getting the college football berth. They are in the basement of the ACC.
It's one of the biggest mysteries in college football to me. It's hard to believe that we're talking about that.
It's crazy.
North Carolina, we knew that was going to be a grand experiment. We didn't know if it was going to be a resounding success or a big flub, and right now it's a big flub. And those two go after each other this week. And I think in Chapel Hill, I believe it.
I'll confirm. I'll confirm on that.
Chapel Hill.
2-2 overall UNC, 0-0 in conference play. First conference game. Clemson 1-3 overall, 0-2, ladies and gentlemen, in conference play for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. I never thought Clemson would be in this position. The Death Valley, it is in Chapel Hill, by the way, 12 o'clock kick. The Death Valley fanatics are calling for Dabo Swinney's head. He was already in a little bit of lukewarm water going into the year,
right?
Which shows you how obscenely high the expectations are. He loses to North Carolina. Hootie, he is 1-4 and 0-3 in ACC play.
That's mind-boggling, and I don't think they've ever won less than 9 games in his tenure there. So that goes to show you the standard that he's set. And it just shows that anybody can get the axe under any circumstances. And so it's I don't know. There's no explanation for it that I can see. They've recruited well throughout all this. They have ungodly facilities down there and support.
Have a good quarterback.
I'm not sure he's as good as advertised, but they were supposed to have one of the best defenses in the country, and they've It certainly hasn't lived up to that, and I don't know. I have no answer for what's going on down there. I've talked to people that I know down there, and they can't figure it out either. It's just mind-boggling.
On the flip side, the Ramblin' Wreck, Georgia Tech, atop the conference, top 25 football team.
And they had to come from behind last weekend to win.
Right. That was a dogfight. Was that Wake Forest?
Yeah.
That was an absolute dogfight.
I didn't see that coming.
5-0, 2-0 in conference play, Georgia Tech. Are they your clear-cut best team right now? Or you still give it to Florida State?
Well, I'm looking at Miami right now.
That's right.
Miami's got tons of talent.
Miami's your best team.
They've recruited really well.
Yeah.
And Cristobal has –
He's good.
He's done a terrific job in turning that program around, and I wondered if he could do it. But he's finally seems like he's got things under control down there and back into some kind of normalcy, which is good for the ACC on a national scale. But I would think they're number one, clear cut. Georgia Tech, Virginia, Duke. Even though SMU's had a couple of losses, they've lost to really good football teams. Again, don't go to sleep on Cal. They're 4-1, and Virginia's got to go out there. And we talked before the show started today that they were a lot like Virginia last year, and they lost a lot of one-score games. I think they were 1-4, maybe in one-score games last year. So. I think they're better than people gave them credit for.
What a wild time. Virginia's got Louisville 6.5 points that line at now and open at 7.5.
And Louisville's undefeated.
Yeah, Louisville's good. ACC is much improved.
Much improved, and we thought they would be.
100%. It's much more balanced now. It's not just Clemson. What's in the hopper at JerryRatcliffe.com?
Well, it's Virginia, Louisville, lots of stuff about that. We also have a story up this morning about Virginia. Ryan Odom just had a really nice recruiting weekend. I guess those guys probably went to the Florida State game. The nation's number one center, 7'1", 300-pound Arafan Diani visited. He's down to his final 5. I heard he had a good visit. And 6'8" Latrell Allman from Petersburg, who Ryan Odom and his staff has tried to recruit since he was in the 9th grade, was here on an official visit too. He's top 30 in the country. Can you imagine if they land that front court combination? That would be pretty. That'd
be a professional front court.
Yeah.
I mean, you got towers everywhere.
I mean, Diani is. You talk about a man.
Yeah.
7'1", 290. He's like an oak tree in the middle.
That's a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Playing college basketball.
He's a game changer.
Right.
And so And, a lot of people say, well, why would he come here? Well, that's the only ACC school that he's in his Final 5. And so maybe he's heard a lot about the ACC, even though he's from Africa. I'm sure he's talked to a lot of players in this country about how good the ACC can be. And it looks like ACC will be a little better this year. And then Allman is a really good player too. So who knows? In this day of NIL, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. And I'll close with this. The money has almost sickened me with what it's done to college sports. But if there's any glasses half full from the money, is it's able to make Virginia, when it comes to football, relevant.
Right.
Because they got a boatload of it. They got wealthy alumni. We all know that. And they got a money infused, and as a result, maybe turned around a program from the bottom of the conference to contending for a conference championship.
Now, somebody said, I guess was it last summer? I guess it was not this past summer, but a year ago summer, when they passed some kind of state legislation about money and athletes and payrolls and all that stuff. Somebody said, well, Virginia, if it wants to be, can be the New York Yankees of college sports because the money is there.
The money's there.
We're starting to see some of that.
We're starting to see it, 100%. Jerry Ratcliffe, guys, the namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com, Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, household name, Jerry Ratcliffe of JerryRatcliffe.com. Get on the website, read the content. It's the best of the best as it applies to anything University of Virginia sports related, JerryRatcliffe.com. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera. Thank you to you, Judah. The
MVP.
Elmer's MVP, our glue guy. My name is Jerry Miller. This is the Jerry and Jerry Show, special edition on a Wednesday. Back to our normal slot Tuesday at 10:15, folks. Thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody. Nicely done.
Same to you, sir.